Fine, the menstrual cycle. Okay. The menstrual cycle is very important. Okay, the menstrual cycle. Where is it? No, this is not nice. Let's start with this picture. Okay, now the menstrual cycle, I'm going to go straight into it. We have a cycle here of 28 days. In those 28 days, we have an egg that is being formed. Now let's just remember together, this egg, where is it produced, Omar? The egg is produced in the ovary. We have eggs here, and one egg is produced per month. The eggs, they are surrounded by a group of cells known as follicle cells. These follicle cells are responsible for the maturation of the egg. Okay, you are born. I'm talking about the girls here. You are born with many eggs, a certain number of eggs. Every month, once you reach puberty, one egg only is released. Okay, and this egg is waiting for a sperm. If it arrives, you will be pregnant. If it doesn't arrive, you will not be pregnant. Okay, so the menstrual cycle starts from day 1 of the menstruation until day 28. These are 28 days if we're talking about a normal female, healthy with no diseases. Okay, Mustafa? Now, the menstrual cycle is divided into days and names and phases. From day 1 to day 4, what is the name of that phase? When she is releasing blood, flow phase. So you will study that there is a flow phase. What is happening in the ovary at that time? What is happening at the uterus at that time? And the hormones that control it, and especially the hormones. Year 10, especially the hormones. So in the flow phase, what is happening in the uterus? What is coming out of the body? The blood, okay? She is flowing. There is menstruation. There is breakdown of the endometrium or the lining of the uterus. So this is what is happening in the uterus. What is happening in the ovary? A new follicle starts to develop. One follicle was released and it wasn't fertilized, and now we will start the new cycle. A new follicle will start to be developed. So in order to help a new follicle and a new egg to start to develop, what is the hormone that starts to be released? FSH. Very easy. So let's break it down. We have the flow phase, which is from day 1 to day 4. What is happening in the uterus? The uterus is breakdown of uterus. And the ovary, we have one egg or one follicle will start to develop. The word start here is important. So at the same time, the FSH hormone will start to be produced. Who produces the FSH hormone? Exactly. The pituitary gland in the brain. The pituitary gland in the brain. Easy? We're done with the flow phase. Finished. Now we will start from day 4 to day 13, just before the ovulation. And what is this phase called? Very good. We have the follicular phase. And from the name, what is happening in the follicular phase? Very good. Look at the picture. In the follicular phase, we have the follicle. The name speaks for itself. This is the follicular phase in which the follicle will grow. It will mature. It started in the flow phase and it will continue growing in the follicular phase. So what is being produced more and more from the brain? The FSH hormone, an increase in the production of the FSH hormone. But here, some complicated things are happening. As the follicle is growing, it is producing which hormone? The estrogen. So the estrogen is produced from the follicle itself as the follicle is growing. The follicle is growing, girls. As the follicle is growing, it's producing estrogen. At a certain point, estrogen will reach peak levels, telling the brain that now I'm ready for ovulation. So at a certain hormone, the estrogen will reach peak levels. See, this is giving a brain a message that now I'm ready for ovulation. So peak levels of estrogen will lead to the sudden release of which hormone? LH hormone. Clear? I want all eyes on the board. So this is the follicular phase. The follicular phase is the phase that you do most talking. Good? LH is released, then we are ovulating. This is day 14, which is the phase of ovulation, it involves 1 day. Okay, Shahd? Can you sit here, Shahd, please? Please. Thank you. Now, we're done with the 3 phases. We talked about the follicle stimulating hormone. It will start to be produced in the flow phase. It will continue production in the follicular phase. As the follicle is growing, we have the release of estrogen. Estrogen reaches peak levels. We will suddenly release LH so that ovulation happens. Lama, after the egg is released, this follicle will change into the what? What's the name? Corpus luteum, or the yellow body. And this, now we are in the last phase, the luteal phase, from day 14 until day 28. Good? Now, the corpus luteum is responsible for the release of the last hormone that we did not mention, which is what? Progesterone. Good. Now, there are 2 possibilities that can happen in the luteal phase. Either Mr. Sperm will arrive or Mr. Sperm will not arrive. If Mr. Sperm doesn't arrive, then the yellow body will break down quickly. And when it does, the progesterone levels will what? Drop. And this tells the brain that there was no pregnancy. No, then we will start the cycle again. So the brain, when the progesterone levels drop, the brain starts releasing the follicle stimulating hormone, and it starts increasing again slowly, and we go back to the beginning of the phase. Easy? It's a nice story. The uterus, when is it very, very thick? At the end of the phase, just before it breaks down. Clear, girls? So this is the menstrual cycle with the hormones in short and summarized. Is it clear? Good. Now, the contraception is canceled, yes, but the hormones are not. If you want babies, you will take FSH and LH, or you will take estrogen and progesterone, FSH and LH, because FSH will increase or will start growth of the follicle. LH will encourage ovulation, and you will have babies. If I don't want babies, I will take the estrogen and progesterone. Good. I added this graph for you. These are just this page, and I sent it to you, print it. You already know the info, but I just rearranged it, talking about the hormones in specific. Good. The estrogen hormone is the pre-ovulation hormone, because after ovulation, we produce progesterone. We did not talk about, Lama, if there is successful pregnancy. Will the yellow body break down quickly? It will wait for which organ to develop? The placenta. So the progesterone hormone, it has to be present at high levels in the blood when the female is pregnant. Before the placenta, the progesterone hormone is produced by the yellow body. And after the placenta is produced, it will be produced by the placenta. And all this is written in this table. Nice? So this table focuses on the hormones. That is very important for the supplement. This is the follicular phase. The follicle is growing. Okay, the follicle is growing here, and then ovulation, and then the luteal phase. Easy? When you hear things for the first time, it sounds hard. And then when you hear it more than once, you realize that it's very nice and easy. Good. We did talk about this, done. Yeah, we will not repeat this again. And the in vitro fertilization and the common features and the advantages and disadvantages. Advantages, you can have babies. Advantages, that I can now preserve an endangered species. This is an advantage. I can prevent a certain species from becoming extinct by using these 2 methods. Disadvantages, it's expensive. There is a chance that it will not succeed. I can have multiple babies and multiple embryos. I can do designer babies. I will play around. I will choose which embryo I want and which embryo I do not want. Some people think it is ethically not acceptable. Okay, we do not, or we should not be doing that. Good. Now, I want to go specifically to the notes. Be patient, but this is in the notes. Let's revise it. No, I'll go to the notes. So I make sure that I finish the lesson, this particular lesson. So where are we? You are O level? Okay, perfect. So let's just make sure that we have here reproduction. Nice, we will finish it. Objective by objective, one by one. Good. We'll talk about the different types of reproduction. I think very, very easy. Discuss the advantages and the disadvantages of the asexual reproduction. Why is this password protected? Why? Okay, I took some time, but so that I can scribble. Let's revise together. We don't waste time. Now, what are the two types of reproduction? Sexual and asexual. Advantages. We'll go straight to them. What are the advantages of sexual reproduction? More variation. From there, you will start. More variation. You can adapt to changes in the environment. You will not become extinct if there is a disease. What else? There is a high chance, excuse me? On the contrary, there's a high chance that you will express mutation. These are the advantages. And less genetic disease, no. On the contrary, this is a disadvantage because more mutation means there can be genetic diseases. Okay? You can say that. You can say that if there is no inbreeding, like more genetic diseases, yes. If there is a genetic disease in the parent and we are reproducing by asexual, it will definitely be in the offspring. So yes, you're correct. Good. What else did we say? More adapted to changes in the environment. You will not die from the spread of disease. You have more chance to express mutation, which can be good and it can be bad. And you have more chance to express natural selection. You will preserve the biodiversity. But what are the disadvantages of sexual? You need time, you need a partner, you cannot reproduce alone. In the case of cross-pollination in plants, you need a pollinator. Good? Nice? Fine. Mitosis and meiosis, very important, very important. Tell me, what are mitosis and what is meiosis? Very good. I want to stress on something. The DNA, it replicates before mitosis and meiosis. In other words, if I have 46 chromosomes, they will duplicate. I will have at a certain point 92. Why? Don't give me this answer because it doesn't happen. In mitosis, you will say that it will split. The number of chromosomes split so that when I have two genetically identical cells, they will have the same number of chromosomes as the parent cell. Yes, but the steps are different. You just did not study the steps, okay? Now, why are the haploid cells haploid? This is the question. This is how it comes. Yes, we will restore. Exactly. The question is always in this format. Why are the haploid cells haploid? What are the haploid cells and what is their significance? They're haploid because they have one set of unpaired chromosomes. This is the definition. Don't write they have half the number of chromosomes. I say that while I'm explaining, but the definition that they want is that they want one set, or they have one set of unpaired chromosomes and they are half in number, so that when they fertilize, the original chromosome number will be restored. Okay, so this is reproduction here. Now I can scribble. Now, asexual reproduction, we know it. This is one parent. All the offspring are identical to the parent. In bacteria, it's called binary fission. Discuss the advantages and the disadvantages of asexual reproduction in a wild. All this, and this is here in the table. So these definitions are important. Sexual reproduction, a type of reproduction that produces offspring that are genetically not identical. I need two parents. And they're not identical to each other, and they're not identical to the parent. This is sexual reproduction. Here, please mention the keywords. You have, or it involves the fusion of nuclei in fertilization to give me a diploid zygote. The zygote is diploid, by the way, and the production of offspring that are genetically different. State that the nuclei of gametes are haploid and that the nuclei of zygote is diploid. I think you know this very well. Good. And the definition. One set of unpaired chromosomes for haploid and two sets of paired chromosomes for diploid. A zygote is a diploid cell. Zygote is diploid. Okay? Only the gametes are haploid. Any cell in the body other than the gametes, they're haploid. Important. Gametes must be haploid so that chromosomes number does not double at fertilization. So that chromosome number remains constant from generation to generation. Maybe I added that. Anything I added, I'm going to send you the additions marked in yellow. Okay? Maybe it's there, but I just added it here again. Now, describe self-pollination, describe cross-pollination, and discuss the effects of self-pollination and cross-pollination on a population. Now, this graph is, this table is very important, and we want to rotate it. Okay. Now, I will rotate it. If you have the notes, open it, because if I made any additions, you can mark them now. Sexual. Advantage, we know what they are. Advantages. There is genetic variation. Natural selection is allowed to show. Mutation is allowed to show. All the advantages of variation. Adapted, will not die, will not be killed by a particular disease. Good? And in the case of crops, I will have a survival advantage. More yield. Disease is not likely. They will not become extinct because of the variation. Any advantage, anything related to variation, the same advantages. Cross-pollination, sexual reproduction, the same advantages. Good? Disadvantages. I need time, I need energy, I need a partner, I cannot reproduce in the wild. And if the favorable characteristics are in the parent, it's not necessary, it will be in the offspring. Like a pretty mother, and she did not get a pretty girl because the father ruined the inheritance. Good? Fine? This is the disadvantages of sexual. I didn't finish. Asexual. Advantages. It's quickly, I don't need a partner, I can reproduce in the wild. If there are favorable characteristics, I will be sure that they will be passed on. Good. Disadvantages are the disadvantages of no variation. I am not adapted if there is any change. I will die if there is a disease. I cannot express mutation. I cannot do natural selection. I cannot change. There is a decrease in biodiversity. The opposites. Good. I want to stress on something that, what I want to stress on? Yeah, asexual reproduction, okay. Here, self-pollination and cross-pollination. I ruined the whole thing. Very important. You know what is the self and the cross? Yes, I want to stress on. They're both types of sexual reproduction because I have a pollen that will be transferred from the anther to the stigma. I have a male nucleus and I have a female nucleus, but the self-pollination here, the transfer will be on the same flower or on a different flower on the same plant. So there is less variation, very little variation, Shahid. Clear? In cross-pollination, here, the anther will go to the stigma of a different flower on a different plant, but it has to be the same species. So in cross-pollination, I'll write the advantages of more variation. In less pollination, I'll write I do not have the advantages of more variation. Let's look at it together. So self-pollination, I'll have the advantages that I don't need a pollinator. I can pollinate myself. I can reproduce in the wild in isolation. If there's a favorable characteristic, I will be sure that it will be passed on. And in the case of plants, less pollen is wasted because I'm going to pollinate myself. The pollen or the anther will not be lost. Disadvantages, all the disadvantages of the lack of variation. Clear, Shahd? Those 6 disadvantages. I'm not adapted. I will die quickly. There's a chance I will become extinct. There's the chance that the disease will affect me. Good. I'm slower. I will not express mutation. I will not express natural selection. Good. All this is here. Less disease resistant. I die from disease. And the cross-pollination, all the advantages of more variation. Easy? Okay. And the disadvantages of cross-pollination, I need a pollinator. I cannot reproduce in the wild. It takes more time, etc., etc. Now, I have a minute, 1 minute. Describe the growth of the pollen tube and its entry to the ovule. We waste a minute? Good. The pollen. What is this? What is it carrying? The male nucleus, which is the pollen. We need to mention the main nucleus. It will enter through a small hole. What's the small hole? Micropyle. And it will fuse with what's inside here? Female nucleus. They will fuse to make a what? Zygote for the seed, which is diploid. The rest happens. Clear? Easy? Bunch is very easy. Okay, these children these students are out of their mind.